Hi, this is Mark Louis P. Tagalog, and in this video, I will discuss four major ethical theories: deontology, utilitarianism, virtue ethics, and social contract theory. I'll explain their principles, give examples from the Philippines, and show how they help leaders and citizens make ethical decisions, especially during disasters or political controversies. Now, let us start with the first one, deontology. So, what is deontology? So, it is all about duty. According to this theory, actions are morally right if they follow universal rules regardless of their consequence. So kani siya nga theory is wala ni siya paki sa mga outcomes or mga bunga sa ang imuhang mga gipambuhat as long as morally correct ang imong gibuhat, like example telling the truth. So bisan pag makasakit kag tawo sa imong pag-tell sa truth, makonsider gyapon na siya as ethical because telling the truth is morally right. It was developed by Immanuel Kant. According to this theory, an action is right or wrong in itself, regardless of its consequences. People must follow moral rules that could be applied universally. This is called the categorical imperative. Act only in a way that you would want everyone else to act. In uh, in the Philippine context, consider government officials uh, handling funds. For example, after typhoons or earthquakes, there is a duty to report how funds are spent and how to follow laws on transparency. Even if hiding information might avoid criticism or political trouble for them, deontology states that the right thing is to be honest and follow the rules. So, according to deontology, our government officials were unethical because they lied. Another example could be enforcing evacuation orders. Leaders have a duty to protect lives even if enforcing it is unpopular. Follow, Following this duty is morally correct. The key idea is that ethics is about doing your duty and following moral rules, not just thinking about what benefits you or others, and that's according to deontology. Now let us continue to the second one, which is uh, utilitarianism. So utilitarianism, a consequentialist theory focused on outcomes. Here, the right action is the one that maximizes overall well-being, the greatest good for the greatest number. So, this is kanang kabali siya sa katong una, deontology, which focuses more on the actions itself rather than the outcomes, and utilitarianism is the exact opposite. So utilitarianism, uh, meaning it judges actions based on their outcomes. The main principle is choose action that maximize happiness or minimize suffering for the most people. So in examples in the Philippines, this is often applied in disaster response. For example, during typhoons, officials must decide which evacuation centers to open first, uh, how to distribute food and relief goods, and where to allocate emergency medical services. So this is a very common issue that I am aware of since my mother is a BHW and she received lots of complaints regarding emergency medical services and whatnot. But they must understand that sometimes not everyone can be helped immediately. So leaders must make choices that help the greatest number of people. So another example is rebuilding after an earthquake. Choosing which roads to repair first or which towns to restore power to first can be guided by the goal of helping the most people. Utilitarianism teaches that sometimes hard trade-offs are necessary, but the focus is always on the overall well-being of society. The third one is virtue ethics. Virtue ethics shifts focus from rules or consequences to characters and moral virtues. Aristotle em- emphasized human flourishing or eudaimonia as the ultimate goal. Leaders should cultivate virtues like courage, compassion, and integrity. Virtue ethics focus on the character side of the person, not just the rules or results. Aristotle said that the goal of life is human flourishing or living well by practicing moral virtues like courage, honesty, compassion, and integrity. Uh, example in the Philippines, this can be seen in leaders and community members who act bravely and help others during disasters. For example, a mayor visiting evacuation centers to personally check on residents or volunteers risking their safety to save flood victims demonstrate courage and compassion. In virtue ethics, you should ask what kind of person should I be rather than what rules should I follow. So virtue ethics focuses more about content of your character. Ethical leadership is not just about following laws and maximizing outcomes, it's being a good moral person who inspires trust and sets an example. Now, for the last one, which is social contract theory. The social contract theory emphasizes the mutual obligations between citizens and the state. Authority is legitimate if it serves the public good and citizens consent to follow laws in exchange for protection and services. This idea was developed by philosophers like Thomas Hobbes, John Locke, and Jean Jacques. I'm sorry, Jacques, if I pronounced it correct. Roshan. Um, in the Philippines example, this is visible when citizens demand accountability for controversial government actions. For instance, debates around the Maharlika Investment Fund showed people questioning whether the government acted responsibly. Citizens expect transparency and fairness, especially when public money is involved. Another example is during disasters. People expect the government to provide fair and timely relief. When authorities fail, trust is lost. Social contract theory reminds us that ethical leadership is all about meeting responsibilities and maintaining trust between citizens and the state.